What's up, YouTube? Christophernegroni is back. Today, I'm going to do a long-term-ish review impressions of my Rolex Submariner 114060. I'm going to talk a little bit about why this watch is special to me, how it's fared, how many times I've bought and sold this watch, and why, and am I going to sell this watch again? Stay tuned to find out. All right, the Rolex Submariner, arguably the most iconic wristwatch that money can buy today. I think it's iconic. Would you say the Rolex Submariner is iconic? Do you think that they noticed the stash yet? Do you think I could have gone the whole video without them like saying anything, without anyone noticing? I'm like, does he have a mustache? Did he always have a mustache? I kind of like it though. You know, gives you something to rub when people are talking to you. It's like a power move when you can just twizzle it around, you know? Yeah, like do like this, you know, when I'm thinking. That's an interesting point. The Rolex Submariner, often duplicated but never replicated. Often replicated but never duplicated. That's the way you say it. Often replicated but never duplicated, because it's very much replicated. I'd say it's probably one of the most replicated watches in the whole entire world. That also goes towards my argument that it is iconic. It's iconic. It's replicated because it's iconic. It's a steel, black dial, black face, black bezel, badass diving watch. It's the Mac Daddy of dive watches. Let's be honest. Every dive watch today is some type of variation of the Submariner. Luminescent markers, rotating bezel. No dive watch today quite rides the lines of like a wearable luxury watch as a Submariner. Yeah, like you could wear it anywhere. Every brand has their Submariner, but only one brand sells a Submariner. The Omega fanboys are gonna be pretty mad about that. They can shove it, you know? They can shove it up there, because we all know that they want a Submariner. You know, you buy the Seamaster, but you really want the Submariner. No, you don't think so? You don't think deep down in the depths of their existence, the guy that buys an Omega Seamaster really wants a Submariner? The reference that I have is the 114060, or what I like to call the last of the 40 by 20 Submariners. Because as we all know, new generation went to, I believe, 41 by some weird lug size, like 41. I think it's 21, 41 by 21. It's not really 41, but they rounded up. They rounded up, babes. So let me flip the camera around and we'll take a closer look at my Submariner. The Rolex Submariner, the quintessential luxury dive watch. Since its introduction in 1954, the Submariner has remained largely unchanged, with only minor improvements through its steady evolution. Launching in 2012, the 114060 took a leap in modern construction, aiding in its already infamous reputation for robustness. Gone are the days of flimsy bracelets and scratched up bezels, but don't let this slim and easy wearing beauty fool you, because she is still a professional dive watch. With a precise 120-click unidirectional bezel, you'll feel like you're robbing the local credit union while you're simply timing your tri-tip. The bracelet is the best in the business. Once you experience glide lock, every other bracelet just feels like a futile attempt. Supreme robustness, divine symmetry, and timeless style. The Rolex Submariner is a perfect marriage of function and form, an ideal lifelong companion for any wrist, for any elapsed amount of time. The specs are cool and all, but what I want to know when I watch watch reviews, just like this one, is how does the watch wear? Give me real life impressions. I want to see the practical applications of these watches. I want to see them covered in scratches. I want to see it on the wrist. I want to see it on hairy wrists. I want to see it on fat wrists. I want to see it on shaven wrists. I want to see it on tattooed wrists. Now let's talk about my almost 2 years with this watch. I say 2 years, but in reality, the perspective that I'm bringing you is of the perspective of a guy that has bought this watch many times, sold this watch, bought it back, sold it, bought it back again. I can give a unique perspective. The perspective of a guy with nothing better to do than to buy the same watch 3 times. Where else are you going to find that unique perspective? Now, before I explain why I bought this watch so many times, let's talk about what it's like to wear this watch on a daily basis. I definitely wear this watch more than most of my watches for a few reasons. For my everyday needs, the Submariner is really all you need. Let's say I was a normal man and I was able to get... Why are you laughing? Let's just say I was normal and I was able to get a Submariner and that was my only watch, you know? Wow, right? A damn near $10,000 watch. Ticks every box. You wear it everywhere. And because it's a Rolex without a Cyclops, 99% of people, they don't bat an eye. So you can actually wear it. It's no fuss. No one knows it's a Rolex. Most people don't. Well, most people don't know, honestly. Secondly, I try to make it to the gym 5 to 6 times a week. And although I don't mind wearing a wristwatch to the gym, and I kind of like it, I feel like the Submariner is the only watch that I can wear that doesn't stand out. Not doesn't stand out. It's okay. All right, it stands out, but it isn't out of place, okay? It doesn't have polished center links. You know, just looks like a tough watch. You may disagree, and that's fine. But I think the Sub is a great gym watch. Maybe it's because I can recall a time as a younger lad, a younger fellow, when I used to sneak into the gym. I remember seeing a guy that was wearing a watch. He was wearing a watch to the gym. He was just a cool guy. Wasn't very showy, but kind of had like a James Bond aura to him, you know, just confident. And I remember seeing a particular watch on his wrist. I didn't know what kind of watch it was. Knowing what I know now, it was a Submariner. It was a Submariner all this time. So I remember seeing that guy and thinking, you know, I want to be that guy. I want to be cool like that guy. And that guy wore a Submariner to the gym. And now I wear a Submariner to the gym. I'm that guy. So maybe that's the real reason. You know, I try to justify it, but I just want to be that guy. Question is, how has that type of wear, affected the watch? Am I, you know, wearing the watch down faster than normal because I wear it to the gym? I would say not, because I'm not your typical wearer of watches. I'm a little OCD when it comes to how I wear my watch. Let me explain. So little things, you know, like when you put on your seatbelt in the car and, you know, you unclip it and, you know, you don't let it go. You have to make sure it goes over. You know, some people just like let it go. Boom, hits your fucking watch. Don't do that. Oh, desk diving marks, you know, use a pad, you know, use like a little desk pad, or simply, you know what I do? Just take it off. Just take the watch off, place it right next to you, and then you get to stare at it while you're, you know, you're typing your email, just like that, just staring at your watch. It doesn't get scratched up. Big one, when you're walking through doors, you never know how heavy a door is. You gotta walk through that door with your hand in the middle. Put it right in the middle of your body. You never know. Never know how heavy a door is. You assume every door is heavy as you know why? Because I'd rather be the guy who looks like a douche, just like pulling the door way too hard or pushing the door way too hard, than the guy who goes to pull the door and it pulls you back, you know, because you look weak. I'd rather be the other guy. The more you know. This is like life lessons right here with Christophernegroni. I should open a course like teaching life lessons like this, because this took years to learn. This took years to learn. Assume every door is heavy. That's just my philosophy with scratches on watches. I like them. I don't mind them. You know, I don't freak out about them. But if they're avoidable, why not? So as far as wear on a watch, it's unavoidable. If you live life, if you have kids, if you have a dog, if you wear sleeves, your watch is going to get scratched up. But what I can say about this watch is just how the more you wear it, the more scratches you get with this watch, the more I like it. The more I feel like I want to wear it. I'm not so scared to wear it. You know, when it was new and shiny and blingy, you know, you definitely baby it more. I think the Submariner in any generation just looks better with wear. Big complaint I hear about these watches is just how blingy they are. A lot of people say they don't like modern Submariners because they're so shiny and blingy. Simple solution. Wear the watch. Let it become a part of you. Let it gain some life. I was concerned when I first bought this watch that it would look kind of weird, you know, having a pristine Cerachrome bezel and a watch just covered in scratches. It might look kind of weird. You know, when you look back at older Submariners, they had these, you know, ghost bezels. You know, the aluminum inserts faded. It lived a life just like the rest of the case. So I thought, well, won't these new ones look kind of weird? But the more I wear it, the more I see the scratches and the pictures I see of other people just wearing their subs, I've changed my mind. I think it looks kind of cool. Like, it's unique. It's a different kind of patina. And within Rolex's history, the watches that have the weirdest or most unique patina, they tend to be the ones that are collectible. They tend to be the ones that are sought out. In a way, I think this watch may become unique in its own way. Pristine bezel. I mean, nobody really knows what it's going to look like in 50 years, but it's going to look a lot different than previous generations. One thing I will say about Rolex in general is that I don't think there's a Rolex that has aged badly. You know, most Rolexes age gracefully, and that's the beauty of them. If you can think of a Rolex that has aged badly, put it down in the comments. All right, so I've alluded to just how many times I've bought this watch. Let me finally explain why. I'm gonna get roasted because my reasonings, they don't make sense to the common folk. You know, they don't make sense to the people who have a brain, who have sense. What's that saying? Common sense is not so common. It's not going to make sense. It's not going to make sense to a lot of you guys, but there'll be like 3 people that are like, yeah, me too. Absolutely. Dude. The Submariner was the watch that made me fall in love with watches. When I began looking for my first good watch, it was kind of just that. It was something that I had put on a notepad somewhere and forgot about. Research and buy a nice watch. This was way before I was into watches, obsessed, before I was tainted love. Now somehow, after all my research, scouring the internet, looking at forums and thinking that I knew everything after a few months of research, somehow I came to the Seiko SKX 007. My reasoning looks just like the Submariner, you know, but I was in denial. I was telling myself, why would anybody pay at the time $7,500, $7,500 for a wristwatch when you can get this watch? Looks exactly the same, ISO certified, can dive with it, even though I'm not a diver. It's the same watch. It's an automatic movement, black dial, black face, same thing, right? I didn't know shit. All right, I know. I didn't know shit. They say that there's a curve to how people view Rolex. And it goes kind of like this. Rolex is the shit. Best wristwatches you can buy. And it comes down. Rolex ain't shit. It's overpriced garbage. Kind of plateaus a little bit. And then comes right back up as your appreciation comes back for Rolex. As you learn more about wristwatches and you realize that Rolex is the shit. We'll skip ahead when I finally accepted that my Seiko SKX was not a Rolex. Never will be a Rolex, and deep down inside, I wanted a Submariner. I wanted the real deal. And you could still go buy one at that time. You could still call up your local AD. Yo, Maggie, this is Christophernegroni, your boy. I would like a Submariner. You got one? Set it aside. I'm on my way. That's kind of how it went, actually. Remember? Do you remember Maggie? So yeah, I bought the Submariner that was available at that time because I wanted a Submariner. I wanted a Submariner that was new, and I wanted it to be my Submariner. I wanted to live a life of Chris. So that's where the story started. And that's where the story should have ended. Should have lived happily ever after with my watch. Worn it every day. I could have been a one watch guy. I could have been a one watch guy, babes. Elusive one watch guy. I'm gonna blame YouTube. I'm gonna blame YouTube for not being a one watch guy. I'm gonna blame YouTube for getting me into watches. Now there's no way I could be a one watch guy. I know too much. But isn't it always like this? You know, you lust over something and you tell yourself, if only I could have this thing. And then you get this thing and then you're on to the next. That's exactly what happened with this first Submariner. I got it and I decided I could turn this Submariner into a green Submariner because green is my favorite color. And if I really only want to be a one watch guy, I need something a little more special than a black dial. And actually, it would be nice to have the date. But I don't want to be a black dial date Submariner guy. Then how are people going to know that I'm a watch guy, huh? How are people going to know I'm a watch guy? That's what non-watch people buy, right? That's what lawyers and bankers buy when they just want a nice watch. So that was my rationale. Wanted something special and the date. What did I buy? I traded in my beloved sub. Bought it for $7,500. Bought it for retail. I got it for retail. I traded it, turned it into a Hulk, which is still a pretty good. That would have been nice if the story ended right there, right? But do I have that Hulk anymore? No, of course I don't. Of course I don't have the Hulk anymore because, and this is the most egregious. This is the most egregious selling of a Rolex that I've done for something else because it wasn't even for another watch. I sold my Hulk to buy a freaking motorcycle, guys. I wanted to be a motorcycle riding dude. You know, I got it into my head. I'm sorry, dude. You can convince me to buy anything. A yacht. Tell me how cool a yacht is, and tomorrow I'm gonna try and get a yacht. It's ridiculous. It still drives me nuts. Still drives me fucking crazy. Anyways, you know why it drives me crazy? Because I don't even have that motorcycle anymore. I don't even have that freaking motorcycle anymore. We're running dry over here, babes. Can you please make me another Negroni? Negroni, please! Excuse me, miss. Bartender, could I get another Negroni? Feels like that's who would order a Negroni, like a guy that talked like that. Babes. Back, baby. Christophernegroni is back, and he's got the freaking Negroni counter going. Bing. All right, so I don't have the sub. I don't have the motorcycle anymore. But now I'm back into the watch thing again. Before, I wasn't really into the watch thing. Like, I got my one watch, and I loved it. But I wasn't heavy into the watch, the watch thing. The watch hobby, I didn't declare myself a watch enthusiast. But I still had that yearning. I wanted an everyday watch. So I bought another Rolex Submariner, guys. I bought another Rolex Submariner, the same one, because I already knew what it was like. I loved it. I had decided, I'm just going to get another sub. Okay, so I was content, right? I was happy. No, of course not. Of course not. Because what happened next seemed to have come out of thin air. Thin air. I was brainwashed. I was brainwashed by the smallest of details that is watch obsession. The first Submariner that I had, never looked at this once. Never even thought about this. But for some reason, the second one that I have, the lugs, the freaking lugs, guys. And yeah, it was probably me looking into forums and pictures and reading too many blogs and reviews and watching too many videos about Rolex and sports watches. And the lugs, they bugged me. They were too big. The lugs were too big. The lugs. It's all I could see. And so I obsessed over this. I obsessed over the freaking lugs, guys. I think in retrospect, I had a little too much time on my hand. And maybe I should have taken up, like guitar. I should have learned how to play the guitar. I should have learned how to sew, anything. But instead, I wanted to find the perfect Rolex dive watch. So I quickly sent that other Submariner, sent the second Submariner packing, and traded up into a Rolex Sea Dweller. But not just any Sea Dweller. This was what is affectionately known as the Rolex SD4K. And my reasoning was simple. It had slimmer lugs, had no Cyclops, but it had a date from far away. It looked just like a Submariner. And it was lovely. It looked great on the wrist. Nobody ever said it was too thick. Nobody ever said, is that a Sea Dweller? Why don't you get a Submariner? Or why didn't you, none of that. Now, do I still have the Rolex Sea Dweller SD4K? No, I don't. Because I found something wrong with that watch. My freaking brain found something else. This is where I'm probably going to lose you guys. When I look at the Rolex Sea Dweller SD4K, all I could see was the fact that they took a Rolex Submariner bracelet and slapped it on a Sea Dweller. Because the end links of the SD4K, they had this weird matching of the end links to case. They kind of jutted out. No one ever, there's maybe a couple people on the internet that notice it. And once it bugs you, that's all you see. That's all I saw, just like the lugs on the Submariner. So it looked wrong. And I've always had this problem. When something's wrong in my brain and I get obsessed, I always have to remedy it. I have to do it quickly. And I'm very hasty. I'm very quick to make a decision and just do it because I don't want to keep obsessing over this thing. Is that a Sagittarius trait? Well, there you go. It's because I'm a Sagittarius. Oh, fucking arrow. Moon and sun. Is that really a trait of a Sagittarius? Impulsiveness? See? He gave me an out. I'm a Sagittarius. There you go. I mean, look at back. I'm dumb. It's such a collectible watch now. It's one of the shortest running Rolexes ever produced. It was like a year and a half, almost 2 years. But for something that probably didn't sell well, so there's not many SD4Ks out there. It was the last 40 millimeter Sea Dweller, and I'll probably never get that watch again. Same with the Hulk. Like the Hulk, for a moment in time, guys, for a moment, you guys won't believe me, but for a moment in time, I was content. I can say that wholeheartedly. When I had the Hulk, I never thought about buying another watch. I was fucking happy. And yeah, it didn't match when I wore a red shirt, but I don't wear red shirts. I wear black most days. It was perfect. Green is my favorite color, and I was content on wearing a special Rolex dive watch every day. But sadly, I don't know if I'll ever get another Hulk. With prices just fucking crazy, it just doesn't make sense. But I've thought about it, guys. I have thought about selling the third one for the second Hulk, but it just doesn't make sense. Oh man, I was content, babes. I'm telling you, you don't believe me, but I was happy with that. So here we are, full circle with another 114060, and this is the longest I've had this watch for, almost 2 years now. So it's got to count for something. What's funny is that it's not only watches that I've done this with before, where I've like impulsively bought or sold something and then bought it back. I've learned that I always regret it because of the simple fact that the initial reason that I bought said product or said thing was from an emotional, point. It was from an emotional standpoint. I loved it and I wanted it and then I got it. And that should have been the end of it. That should have been the end of it. It took me 3 Submariners to realize this. I bought the Rolex Submariner for the same reason the guy that bought a Submariner back in the 1960s. He didn't buy it because lug to lug it was less than 50. The bezel was aluminum. He bought it because it was the watch to have. It was the Rolex Submariner. And it's the same reason I bought it. And that reason is good enough. That reason should be good enough. If I had the money to buy every watch I wanted in the world, I probably still own this watch. That's how much I love this watch. It has its place in every collection. In every collector's collection, this wouldn't be out of place. Whether it's the new Submariner, the old Submariner, a vintage Submariner, whichever Submariner captures your heart, that's the one you should go with. That's the one that should be on your wrist. It's not the specs that makes this watch a watch I love. It's the fact that this is my Submariner. That's the best part about it. That is the best part of this watch. It's the fact that it's my watch. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I miss making videos. I'm not going away. Christophernegroni is back. Cheers, guys.